Yo, definitely want to chop it up with you and see what's going on with you and everything, and just talk hip hop a little bit,
All right, let's talk.
and beyond, and beyond.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Matter
sir.
of fact, let's not even talk hip hop. Let's talk about your play. You know what I'm saying? Can you speak on, the play and the content of it, the name of it, like pretty much everything? Give everybody like a synopsis.
Okay. Well, we have a hip hop musical called The Last Jimmy that I'm going to be presenting in Philadelphia again for the third time. It outlines mass incarceration and privatized prisons, which I already kind of knew in my mind what was going on with the judicial system and how messed up it is. But when I read Michelle Alexander's book, The New Jim Crow, the way that she outlined it really just set off some alerts in my brain. And so me personally, I figured if this woman took her time out to write a book and talk about what's going on in our community, and I know she didn't do it for money, I was like, what can I do as an artist to reach this, even a different audience that maybe she hasn't reached, but since she's reached me, I want to reach out to other people to just basically champion her message. And so I did an album called Jimmy's Back, and then Jimmy's Back morphed into The Last Jimmy, which is going to be in Philly during the Democratic National Convention this year.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I know you're going to be there for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm hosting a couple panels and stuff, and I'm going
Nice.
to definitely be in the street. Now, what's the difference between the two plays? The Last Jimmy and Jimmy's Back?
Oh, well, Jimmy's Back was an album that I used a lot of incarcerated and people who were just re-entering society, because I wanted to get their perspective, because I had never been incarcerated. I've been locked up a few times, thank God not a lot, but I wanted to get a real sense of what being incarcerated was, and then what a real sense of re-entry, which is what Michelle was really trying to talk about in the book, was when you re-enter society, how those people with felons, felony ones or felony twos are treated. So I wanted to get that real sense. So I had people like K-Dot the Showstopper, I had my man Prada Ida, I had Boss Man, I had Mac Dub, I had Mars Co-op, and it's sad to say that some of these people have actually been reincarcerated since Jimmy's Back, but people who helped me produce it, like one of the executive producers, his name is Latif Bey. He's started charities, and he's went on to open up a record company, and they're called Do For Self Records, and they have Nizzy Straw. So I mean, I'm real proud of some of the success that came out of the Jimmy's Back.
How hard
project.
was it to write an actual play?
Well, it wasn't that hard because I ain't write it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
My man Phil Brown from Philadelphia. He worked with Disney. He worked with BET for years. He heard the album Jimmy's Back, and some of the songs spoke to him in a way where he was like, I feel like we should be doing something bigger. And I said, well, let's do a play. And I said, you should write it. And he was like, nah. But then he thought about it, and he was like, you know what? Let's do it. And so we did it, and it came off, and I'm real excited about it.
Yeah, I got to see it. I haven't seen it yet.
I want you to see it, Chuck.
Yeah, I've seen screen grabs and, visuals, and I definitely want to see it. What do you think about mass incarceration? I mean, we all hate it, and we know that America over incarcerates its population for any civilized nation. Do you think there's a way for us to curb it? I know obviously legislation is one way, but us as a people, you know what I mean? Like, or is it just a byproduct of a messed up system?
Well, I think it's a lot of things that you just touched on. Like, for instance, it is a byproduct of a messed up system, mass incarceration. What what they did in the 90s when they voted in, those laws and those drug laws and those maximum mandatory laws, that's the part of the broken system. The other thing about mass incarceration is basically just modern day slavery. The black man we're such a target. And we have to start waking up ourselves and asking ourselves, why are we being such targets? Why are we the low hanging fruit? Why are we being constantly harassed? And why are we being systematically put and compartmentalized in different places of society that don't actually contribute anything to society? Why? You know what I'm saying? And once we realize why and our self-value that we have inside ourselves and our brain capacity and all that other stuff, then we won't allow ourselves to be incarcerated. We won't allow ourselves to be pulled and tricked into these circumstances or situations that then produce jail time. I went to the Youth Study Center a couple of weeks ago and I spoke there, and what I basically realized about the Youth Study Center for the first time in my life was that it's basically a children's prison. And when we have a society that when a child makes some mistakes, because a lot of people that spoke on the panel got up and these people were very intelligent and spoke very well, but a lot of the things that kept coming in my mind was they said the kids were making mistakes. And they say, yeah, you kids. And they basically were saying that. It was like, you kids made a lot of mistakes. Some of you kids made a lot of mistakes. These kids may have made a lot of mistakes. And I started thinking in my brain, kids make mistakes. That's what they do, because they don't know anything, because we have to teach them. So at the same time, when a society... when a child makes a mistake in the society and wants to still contribute to society, or just a plain mistake, let's not even try to sugarcoat or anything or add anything yeast on it, but let's just say a kid makes a mistake and gets them locked up. The only solution we have for a poor black child is to incarcerate them. Mm-hmm. That's the only solution. So when you start to see that as a whole, it's like we're the inspiration for mass incarceration. It's like it's designed for us. It's designed for us.
Yeah. Now, you're going to be doing this play at the DNC.
Well, not at the DNC, but during the DNC.
In Philly, during it.
Definitely.
And Hillary Clinton will be the star of the show.
Yes, she will.
As you already know, as we've all noted, her husband was the implementer of much of what we know now as mass incarceration, the laws, and she supported that.
She did.
Do you
so
have
did Barry Sanders? So did Barry Sanders.
Okay. Do you? Well, that changes things a little bit, but not really. What are your thoughts on that?
My thought is,
hold your mic up.
Oh, my thoughts are, in this world we have people who do things because their career is on the line, and I can't expect for a rich white politician to be able to sympathize with me or sympathize with someone who looks like me. I just can't expect them to do that. So if they making laws, they do all kind of stuff that I don't agree on. I don't agree with hydraulic fracking. I don't agree with a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? That these people support. So at the same time, it's just a game to me. So I try not to even get caught up in what's going on. But what I can do is I can only judge a person based off of what they've already showed me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you already showed me that you don't view me as enough of a person or enough as a important. The black male and black male incarceration was not important enough for the way they went after us. It's like, the crime was a problem, of course, but I kind of feel like they went after a fly with a chainsaw, and that right there shows me that they don't see us as humans, but they see us as animals and people who something like that won't affect them. Now, mind you, they all say they made a mistake and they want to rectify it, and they're all jumping behind mass incarceration now. So all I can say is, thank you for realizing that you made a mistake. I appreciate your apology. Now you got to fix it.
Right. Speaking of, you mentioned Bernie Sanders supported it as well. They were real hugged up the other day. A lot of people felt betrayed, because Bernie said, so much about Hillary, and people were riding for him. Do you feel anything about that, or is it just business as usual?
Well, to me, I feel like it's a little bit of both. I feel like it's necessary for him to support her because, I feel like they're just ganging up so they can help, so Trump doesn't win. Because if you have so much, if the party is disconnected, then we could have another situation like what happened with Bush and Gore and Nader. with the separate parties and the parties divided, and so the Democratic Party definitely has to unite, and they definitely have to support Hillary Clinton, and I mean just so Trump doesn't get in. Yeah. Now if Trump gets in, I mean it's not going to make a difference in your or my life. You know what I mean? So
Now there was a little bit of controversy behind The Last Jimmy and the visuals of the play. When Kendrick Lamar performed at the Grammys, there were buzzes in the streets and, the undercurrent of the wave, which was largely positive, that maybe it was inspired by you and your efforts. Do you have anything to say about that?
I thought K-Dot did a great job at the Grammys. I'm a big fan. You know what I mean, of him and what he's done, and I think that if he wants to take on an issue like mass incarceration, I support him. I salute him, and I salute any artist that takes that kind of risk on a big stage like that. Did it look like my show? A little bit, you know what I'm saying, but at the same time, that's up for people to decide. So, again, I appreciate you even bringing me here to ask me that question and allow me to speak about it. I definitely appreciate that. But yeah, man, K-Dot's the man. I appreciate him, and I appreciate the fight, and I hope that brother continues to fight, and I know he will because I listen to all of his records and I know his music frontwards and backwards.
Yeah. Now, a lot of times, and I'm not trying to nudge you or push you to go either way with this, but you'll see, just keep it real. Like Kanye will sort of cherry pick a little this, a little that from Kid Cudi. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like Kid Cudi supposedly inspired that whole 808 and Heartbreaks album.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Or Jay-Z, or, he'll start doing a little whisper flow from Philly. You know what I mean? Do you feel like perhaps that might have happened with you and Kendrick? Like maybe just a little...
I don't really feel so because I never had a conversation with him. I never spoke to him. I never hung out with him. I never said, "Yo, Kendrick, check out what I'm doing." Blah 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 blah. That never happened.
That doesn't have to happen either.
No, it doesn't have to happen. But I mean, I think that what Kid Cudi and Kanye West, I think that's more or less them working together in the studio and coming up with ideas together. Yeah. I think when Jay-Z borrowed a young Chris Flow, they may have been sitting on the same sofa together, at the same time, like going over something like that. So, right. I mean, that's a little bit different. But at the same time, I think however the images wind up looking similar to each other, I don't think it had much to do with him. It may have had something to do with maybe a producer or, right. Someone who did the blocking. Because, that's in theater, that's what it's called, blocking. And, there's different staging and the lighting, who's doing the set designs and all that kind of stuff. So you just never really know.
Yeah. Okay. So somebody may have just matched up some visuals to a song that,
You never know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but at the same time, I support my man. So,
Okay. So why do you call yourself the greatest rapper never?
That's funny. Like, I think it's just a funny title, and because most people always consider themselves I'm the greatest ever, and most people even consider themselves. They have this idea of how big they are and grand they are in their own brain. And me, I look at myself as like an old jazz player. You know what I'm saying? Who's like I'm like the Charlie Bird of like hip hop, you know what I'm saying, or something like that, and it's funny because one of my homies said to me, and you'll probably know who this is when he says, "I'm the Charlie Bird of hip hop," and I was like, "No, you're like the Miles Davis of hip hop," and he says, "Oh yeah, you're right, I'm Miles Davis." But greatest rapper never, it's like just a music series, just a play on words, like the greatest rapper ever. I'm the greatest rapper never, who kind of never got the girls, never got the props, but somehow I still survive and, able to make a living. That's something that I really love and enjoy and I cherish, so.
Speak on that. I remember you from way back, obviously, classic verse on Clones.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and you're still here. Now, a lot of people don't necessarily equate that to success, but I do. How do you feel about your career and like in retrospect to those times?
I feel like my career is. I feel like there's more for me to do, and every day, I'm growing and doing different things. But I have a lot of songs that are published. Me and the Roots have tons of collaborations. We just collaborated recently on the NBA champion song and all kind of things. I've worked on Young Jeezy's album. The Trap. I do theater, so I definitely feel like I've had a long lasting career, and it's largely part of who I'm attached to. Like the Roots are insanely huge, and they had such a amazing career, and we've worked so closely together for years on just song production and just all kind of concepts that I feel largely connected to that. You know what I mean? So and I'm happy, you know what I mean? So, and I love to create and be creative, and I feel like there's more for me too. So,
Absolutely. So, what do you think? What's next in terms of your career? Is it leaning towards the theater? Or is it more about doing music or other things?
I think we're going to do more theater. We have a new piece that's coming after The Last Jimmy called Box, which is the story of Henry Box Brown, who's a slave who mailed himself from Virginia to Philadelphia 200 years ago. Was his birthday, so we're going to be celebrating his birthday this year with the African American Museum and the Heritage Foundation, and we're going to bring Henry out, and it's another hip hop musical, and it's going to be dope.
That's dope, man. And it's funny because for me, the last couple, well, this year, we've seen just this year alone, I think 2 or 3 slave, either miniseries or movies. And I was one of the people that was like, I'm sick of it, you know what I mean? But I will say this, on the theater side, it's crazy diverse. You get all kinds of stories. I've seen everything from Eclipsed to the Dick Gregory play with my brother. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Papa Pope from Scandal. But I mean, the variety. Tuskegee Airmen. Like the variety in theater is ridiculous. And I do think personally that that's like a frontier that we can conquer until TV and film gives way a little more.
Oh yeah, and I think that has a large part to do with us being more interested in our stories, because Hollywood they don't care, you know what I'm saying? They'll put out some bullshit about us, or they'll put out some real shit about us, all depending on what we're demanding.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To them, it's just dollars and cents, business as usual.
Right.
You know what I mean? For us, it has to be something bigger. You know what I'm saying? Like, we should know we should be more interested in our history, but they, not that I don't even want to keep blaming them, but for years, loving ourselves was a little hard. You know what I'm saying? When you look in the mirror and feel like you're worthless unless you got a big chain on or a pair of Jordans or, fresh gear, or you feel like nothing. You know what I'm saying? You feel like you're not a part of society. You feel like you feel like you're not contributing to your own household. You feel like nothing. Yeah. So when to learn more about this nothing, it's not very interesting. But when you start to learn about, our history starts thousands and thousands of years before American history starts. But when we talk about us in American history, it starts at slavery. Right. And that's not the real. You know what I'm saying?
Let's talk a little bit about Philly hip hop. What's the scene like there? I mean, I'm from Delaware, so I know a little bit, but honestly, I've been up here for a long time. So my era is the Roots, Beanie Siegel, or even like 3 Times Dope.
Yeah.
How have things changed?
Like, that's my era too. You know what I mean? Like, me and Chuck showing our age, but
it's all good. I mean, that's the classic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Showing your age beats the alternative. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Not showing your age. You know, but 3 Times Dope, definitely. EST, which is funny. EST is still like heavy in the local Philly hip hop scene. He wrote a bunch of hits for like Beyonce. Yeah. I mean, he did some goofy shit, but he's back around the way, and he's got his hands in a lot of different things. The Roots definitely got their hands in a lot of different things locally, supporting a lot of local artists. Not a lot of local artists, but supporting a couple local artists. Beanie Siegel is still doing his thing. I'm glad he's getting better, well rested. Shout out to Sieg. but there's a lot of new guys too. I feel like I really like. You know what I'm saying? When I go see him perform, or I'm just in a bar and I see a performance going, I'm like, oh damn, all right, that really wasn't that bad. Right. And there's a couple of people that I actually work with too that I think are dope as well. But the Philly scene is growing. There's a lot of competition now, and there's a lot of new cats that are really trying to rumble for their place, and I respect that, and I'm looking forward to see who hits their mark.
Does the Philly scene support Meek still?
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, come on, man. That's like our pride and joy. You know what I'm saying? Like Meek Mill's like, it's Meek Mill, Will Smith, Black Thought, EST, Schoolie D, Petey Crack. Like we don't play when it comes to our people, man. You know what I'm saying? BC, Young Chris. I mean,
I got a little nervous when I saw Cassidy. Drake and Will together. You know what I mean?
I think Will's so high up there. He didn't even probably know the battle was going on. You know what I'm saying? He probably found out that day. Right. And people was like, oh, he probably tried to sneak out of Toronto as fast as he could. But, yeah, I mean, shit happens. But Drake is great. Big Will is great. I mean, sometimes if two of your friends get in a fight, you're not going to stop messing with either one of them just because they beefing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So.
And what's up with Raw Life Records?
Oh, thanks for asking. Yeah, Raw Life, we just signed Gina Zoe, and I'm real excited about her project. We have Tiana Victoria. We have a 16-year-old rapper named Sincere from Philadelphia who's really dope. He's in the play as well. We just signed Minister Jamie Knight. We're doing some gospel things, trying to stay prayed up.
Right.
And that's it, man. But, yeah, we're working. We're doing some publishing things.
Okay.
We got a lot of things lined up, you know what I mean? So look out for Raw Life Records, definitely, and Raw Life Publishing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the last thing...
Shout out my man Chris Woods, too, president Raw Life. You know.
Okay. What happened to the group you had with Nicki Jean?
Nouveau Riche.
Yo.
Well, basically, Nicki just got too famous, and and it was actually like a love thing going on with her and one of the guys in the group. And been mixing business and pleasure sometimes to work out, but Nouveau Riche was a lot of fun. Yeah. Had a lot of underground success, really quick. It made Nicki really, really famous, really, really fast. And shout out to Nicki Jean.
Yeah.
And shout out to Kari too. Happy birthday. And but we're still family. We're still all really, really tight. We may even do like a little reunion record just for the underground.
Yeah, y'all should make it happen. Let me be in those sessions.
All right. You heard that. You heard it here. Chuck Creekmore, Nouveau Riche executive producer.
Word.